Good morning, everyone. I am Mr. Shane, and I'm Jonah's daddy, and today I'm going to read you one of my favorite books from my childhood and one of Jonah's favorite books, Everyone Knows What a Dragon Looks Like. The city of Wu was perched between two hills. On one side of it was the Great Plains of the North, where the wild horsemen lived. On the other side was the land of China. A lad named Han was the gate sweeper of the city. He had no mommy and daddy, and he was very poor. He lived in a tiny hut next to the gate, and his job was to sweep the road that ran through the gate. For this, he was given 1 bowl of rice and 1 cup of wine every day, and that was all he had. But he was cheerful, kind-hearted, and friendly, and when he swept the road, he whistled. And everyone who went in and out of the city had a merry word for him, for that was all he had to give. One day, a messenger came racing along the road from the north, and he said to Han, "Take me to the ruler of the city." Han led him to the palace of the Mandarin, a great lord whose name was Jade Tiger. The messenger cried, "Beware! The wild horsemen of the north are coming, a great army of them. They mean to destroy the city of Wu and bring war to the land of China." The Mandarin stroked his beard, and then he called together his counselors. They were the leader of the merchants, the captain of the army, the wisest of the wise men, and the chief of the workmen. "What shall we do?" said the Mandarin. Well, there are 4 things we can do," answered the wise man. "First, we can fight." "Our army is small," said the captain. "They know how to shout loudly and make threatening leaps and how to wave their swords in the bravest possible way, but they don't know much about fighting." Well, then secondly, we can run away from the cities," said the wise man. "If we run away from the land of China, the emperor will cut off our heads," said the leader of the merchants. Well, thirdly, we can surrender." "If we surrender, the wild horsemen will cut off our heads," said the leader of the workmen. "What is the 4th thing?" said the Mandarin. The wise man shrugged. "Well, we can pray to the great cloud dragon to help us." "That seems most practical," said the Mandarin. So the gongs were beaten, and the smoke of sweet incense rose up as everyone in the city prayed. The next morning, as Han was sweeping the road under the gate, a small fat man came walking up the hill. He had a long white beard and a shiny bald head, and he was leaning on a long staff. "Good morning," he said. Han bowed. "I hope your most honorable stomach is happy today, sir," he replied. "Will you take me to the ruler of the city?" said the little fat man. "I'll take you to him," said Han, "but he is very busy this morning. We are expecting the enemy, and the Mandarin is praying to the great cloud dragon to help." "I know," said the little man. "I am a dragon." Han opened his eyes very wide. "You don't look like one," he said. "How do you know?" said the little man. "Have you ever seen one?" "No, now that you mention it, I haven't." Well then, please come this way, most honorable dragon." He led the little fat man to the palace. There sat the Mandarin with his counselors. They had just finished a huge bowl of rice and 6 dozen duck eggs for breakfast, and they were drinking their tea. The Mandarin looked at the little fat man with a frown. "Who is this person? Why have you brought him here?" he asked Han. "Sir, he is a dragon." "Don't be ridiculous," said the Mandarin. "He's a little man who is tracking dirt on my fine carpets. What do you want here, old man?" "Well, I've come here to help you. But if you want the dragon to help you, you must treat him with courtesy. I've come a long and weary way. Give me something to eat and something to drink, and speak to me politely. That is the only way I will save the city." "Now look here," said the Mandarin. "Everybody knows what a dragon looks like. They're proud lords of the sky. They wear gold and purple silk. They look like Mandarin." "How do you know?" asked the little man. Have you ever seen one?" "Certainly not," said the Mandarin, but everyone knows what they look like. Isn't that true, Captain?" The captain sat straight up, brushing grains and rice off his uniform. Not at all. Everyone knows that dragons are fierce and brave like warriors. The sight of them is like the sound of trumpets. They look like captains of the army." "Nonsense," interrupted the leader of the merchants. "Dragons are rich and splendid. They're as comfortable as a pocket full of money. They look like merchants. Everyone knows that." The chief of the workmen put in, "You're all wrong. Everyone knows that dragons are strong and tough. Nothing is too hard for them to do. They look like workmen." The wisest of the wise men pushed his glasses up on his forehead. "Well, the one thing that is known, and indeed I could show it to you in 47 books, is that dragons are the wisest of all creatures, and therefore they must look like wise men." At that moment, he heard screams and yells from outside, and a messenger came running in. "My lords," he shouted, "the enemy is coming. The wild horsemen are riding across the plains to the city gates. What shall we do?" Everyone rushed out to the gates. Far away, but coming closer every second, was a dark mass of horsemen. Dust rose high from their horses' hooves, and their swords and spears twinkled in the sunlight. The little fat man stood quietly, leaning on his staff. "If you will treat me with courtesy," he said, "I will save the city. Give me something to eat and something to drink, and speak to me politely. This is the only way to get a dragon to help you."
"Piffle Puffle," cried the Mandarin. "You're not a dragon. Everyone can see that you're a dusty old wanderer. We have no time to give you free meals or talk to you politely. Get out of the way!"
And he ran home to the palace and crawled under his bed, where he lay there shivering.
"My gallant army!" commanded the captain. "Follow me!"
And he turned and ran to the barracks, and all of his soldiers followed him, and they hid under their beds and lay there shaking. The merchants, the wise men, the chief of the workmen fled to their houses, and all the people hurried after them, and in a few minutes the streets were empty, except for Han and Little Fat Man. "Well," said Han, "I don't think we have much time. The enemy will be here soon, but I don't know if you're a dragon or not. But if you're hungry and thirsty, please do me the honor of coming into my humble house." With a low bow, he showed the old man the way into his tiny hut. There he gave him a bowl of rice and a cup of wine, which were all he had. The old man ate and drank and then stood up. "Well, I don't think much of the people of Wu, but for your sake I will save the city." He went out to the gate. The wild horsemen were very close. They wore fur caps and the skins of tigers, and they shot arrows at the city as they rode hard on their shaggy horses. The little fat man puffed out his cheeks. He drew in a long breath and blew. The sky grew dark, and lightning sizzled from the clouds to the earth. A great wind arose and caught the wild horsemen and blew them far wide. Those who escaped turned and galloped madly away through the storm. The sky cleared, and the sun shone again, and the plains were empty. And the little fat man said, "Now I'll show you what a dragon looks like." He sprang up into the air, and his form changed. He grew taller than the tallest tree, taller than the tallest tower. He was the color of the sunset, shining through the stars. His scales covered him, scattering light. His claws and teeth glittered like diamonds. His eyes were more noble than the proudest of horses. He was more beautiful and more frightening than anything Han had ever seen. He flew high, roaring, and then vanished into the deep sky. Han gave a long sigh and went to tell the Mandarin what had happened. The people of the city crowded around to hear the tale. They could see for themselves that the enemy had vanished. They cheered Han, pinned medals to him, and gave him many gold pieces, and from that day on called him the most honorable defender of the city.
"Best of all," said the Mandarin, "we know what a dragon looks like. He looks like a small, fat, bald man."
That is the end. Everyone knows what a dragon looks like. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love you, Jonah, and I hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you soon.